Good morning, and thank you for choosing to join me outside on this beautiful summer's day. I'm bringing you to a park about 40 minutes away from central Kamakura. I'm not going to tell you exactly where because, as you know, we're having a little bit of a tourism problem in this country right now, and I'm not trying to worsen that for an area that doesn't really need it. What are we doing today? We're here to talk about some books. And full disclosure, this is my second attempt at a video in 2 days because once I got back yesterday, the clips that I filmed were absolutely atrocious. So we're gonna try to find a place to post up and have a little discussion. I'll probably move around a little bit during this video. And if I can't find a good place, then I'll just do it while I walk. So I hit the 17 ice machine over there. This is the colorful choco milk flavor. Colorful chocolate milk. I think maybe that's white chocolate. But anyway, it's melting. So here we go. Impromptu 17 ice review. Yep. So I'm actually having quite a hard time finding a spot where I actually feel comfortable to film this, because unlike yesterday when I was out here trying to do this, it's absolutely filled with people over the age of 70. And if you didn't know this about Japan, about 40% of the population is around 70. And the older generation already looks at foreigners a little side-eyed, like, what are you doing here? But it makes it even worse when you're a gaijin with a camera, because then they're even more curious. And with the tourism situation being what it is, they're thinking, oh, he's trying to bring more tourists to our town. I'm not a tourist. I've been here since 2018. My wife is Japanese. We have no plans to leave, but that's life as a foreigner here. Beautiful day though. I mean, look at this. And there's families out and stuff too with their kids, but okay, well, I think I might have finally found a place where maybe we won't be disturbed, or I feel more comfortable. So the first one I'm going to bring up, and the one that I'm going to focus on today, is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and this is the 1818 text from the Oxford World Classics collection. It's a wonderful edition. The font is, moderate size. It's not too compacted in there. It takes up the majority of the page, but as you can see, it's all exposition. Like 95% of this is exposition and very little dialogue, and it, for such a short story, it's under 200 pages total. It is taking me a while to get through it, and it's beautiful writing. I love Mary Shelley's prose. Learn from me, if not my precepts, at least by my example. How dangerous is the acquirement of knowledge, and how much happier that man is who believes his native town to be the world, than he who aspires to become greater than his nature will allow. I feel that. I'm a slow reader by nature. I read very deeply, and it just it is taking me much longer to get through it. I've been reading it for 3 days now, and I think I'm about halfway through. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Frankenstein, Frankenstein is not in fact the monster. We follow Dr. Victor Frankenstein, who is the creator of Frankenstein's monster. And we're introduced to Victor Frankenstein at a young age. He's young, he's impressionable. He's gone to a library, or maybe a friend's, the house of a family friend, or with his father, and he comes upon these books by ancient philosophers who theorized about the human body, the processes to which they didn't understand, and essentially their theories on how the human body works and the human condition. And he's all excited. He's telling his father what he's been reading, and his father basically is completely unsupportive, gives him the brush off, and says that these ideas are worthless and you shouldn't be wasting your time. He doesn't tell him why. He just gives him the brush off and says, you're dumb. So that doesn't dissuade young Victor from reading these. It eggs him on. He says, well, I don't care what you think, Daddy. I'm going to study what I want. So as he grows up, he's reading more and more and more of these outdated texts and becoming more and more enamored by them, that by the time he goes off to school, goes off to uni, he's telling his professors what he's been reading, what his history in the field is. And again, he gets laughed at. And, just, this is total hogwash, and you shouldn't be wasting your time. And here's a stack of books that you should be focusing on. These theories have been proven. Those have been completely blown apart and aren't worth your time at all. But he does as he's told. He takes these new materials that are accepted by the university, accepted by his professors, and begins to study. And he becomes enamored, he becomes obsessed with the fields of anatomy and physiology. And these fields combined with what he's been studying for the past decade or so, he gets this idea that he wants to attempt to reanimate a human corpse. Moving on. But as he's planning this project that will span months, if not years, he's thinking to himself, if he's going to reanimate a human body, he wants to make it as easy for himself as he can. He doesn't want to simply dig up a corpse. He wants to gather specific pieces that he needs of a certain size so he can make this being of such gargantuan stature that it's just even more awe-inspiring when his vision finally comes to fruition. That's just a little bit of background. I'm not going to go any further. I'm still reading it. I'll do an update on my thoughts as I go the rest of the way through. and I'll do a conclusion for this one. But you know, just like as with so many other classics that have been adapted to film and TV multiple times over, I can never get over how much they have to change things, or how much they have to add so much pulp, so much filler, because nothing that you know about Frankenstein, this is why I always try to read the books before I see any of the movies, but sometimes it's unavoidable. Something as well known as Frankenstein's monster, it's kind of hard to avoid. I'll just give you the brief little blurb on the back here. Frankenstein is the most celebrated horror story ever written. It tells the dreadful tale of Victor Frankenstein, a visionary young student of natural philosophy who discovers the secret of life. In the grip of his obsession, he constructs a being from dead body parts and animates this creature. The results for Victor and for his family are catastrophic. And you do get to know his friends and family to a certain degree. So far, I highly recommend. Next, man, it's like 34 degrees out here at 11:25 in the morning, and no idea what the humidity is, but it's a lot. So next in the pile, we have the Signet Classics edition of Mark Twain's A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. I got through that without stuttering this time, amazingly. And again, I mean, I just love the age on this one. It's yellowed, browned, whatever you want to call it. And when I bought it, it smelled like pipe tobacco. It still smells a little bit like pipe tobacco, which I just love the smell of that in books. But in this novel, we follow a man that gets hit on the head and wakes up in King Arthur's court. And he doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know where he is. He thinks there must be some kind of event going on, and events transpire, and he ends up on trial as a witch. And it's just imagine you yourself going back in time to the time of King Arthur and whipping out an iPhone, or just having a watch on your wrist. It would happen to anyone. Even our manner of speaking would get us into trouble. Hank Morgan, cracked on the head by a crowbar in the 19th century Connecticut, wakes to find himself in King Arthur's England, facing a world whose idyllic surface masks fear, injustice, and ignorance. With the agility of Mark Twain's unique virtuosity, this acrobatic tour de force moves from broad comedy to biting social satire. From the pure joy of wild hijinks to deeply probing insights into the nature of man, the reader falls under the book's enchantment and finds the grim truth of Twain's Camelot strike a resounding contemporary note. And I've read pieces of this before when I was uni and commuting on the train, and I just got busy and couldn't get around to finishing it. But again, it's not a long read, but it's very entertaining, very relevant. It's a timeless classic, and it's the book that makes me want to read more Mark Twain. I mean, I love his prose. I love everything about it. It's magnificent. At least the half that I've read. Okay, so the first one in the pile that I don't have any history with it at all, is the Penguin Classics edition of Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. And again, I'm very discerning when I choose my editions. I hate crap books. I hate stupid font. I hate small font. I hate when the pages are crowded. So anything that I pick up and show you, unless it's the only thing that I could find, is going to be a halfway decent edition, at least. And again, I know basically nothing about this except that it's a timeless classic. It's considered one of Charles Dickens's greatest works. if not best, is second best. I digress. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Who hasn't heard that? Vividly interweaving epic historical drama with personal tragedy, Dickens's gripping novel depicts the lives of two very different men, Charles Darnay, an exiled French aristocrat, and Sidney Carton, a disreputable but brilliant English lawyer, as they become enmeshed through their love for Lucy Manette, the daughter of a political prisoner. From the tranquil roads of London, they are drawn against their will to the vengeful, blood-stained streets of Paris at the height of the Reign of Terror. And they soon fall under the lethal shadow of La Guillotine. Not La Guillotine, you know, like Spanish, 2 L's, yeah, for my Americans out there. Moving on. Next, we have something a bit more relevant to my surroundings. It's Japanese-American author Gail Tsukiyama's The Samurai's Garden. And again, this is one that I picked up when I was in uni and never got around to finishing it because I just got too busy. But it's an absolutely beautiful story. And this is the is that HarperCollins? St. Martin's Griffin. Anyway, so in this novel, we follow a young Chinese boy named Stephen just before the Second World War, and he's been diagnosed with tuberculosis, and he's shipped off to his family's summer home in Japan to rest, to recover, and to just kind of enjoy himself, you know, try to get better, try to look after his health. He ends up getting to know the estate's caretaker, named Matsu, and the two start to become close. It's a feel-good story if you like Asian themed literature, Japanese themed literature, or just Japanese culture in general. And it's a fun read, and I can't wait to get back to it. On the eve of the Second World War, Stephen, a young Chinese man, is sent to his family's summer home in Japan to recover from tuberculosis. Under the care of the housekeeper and master gardener Matsu, he will rest, swim in the sea, and paint in the brilliant shoreside light. It will be quiet and solitary. As he begins to recover, young Stephen has his own adventure. But it is the unfolding story of Matsu, Sachi, and Kenzo that will seize your imagination and stay with you long after you have finished this beautifully crafted and moving masterpiece. And finally, we have Stephen King's Mr. Mercedes. And this is the Kindle edition. I wanted to start my Stephen King journey, and I wasn't really sure how. And the only ones that I own that are to be read at a later date, I'll probably pick another one up around spooky season. But I wanted to dip my toes in the water. And this one is just a good old murder mystery. It revolves around a retired cop, Bill Hodges. And I'm not sure how to look up the synopsis on a Kindle when I'm not connected to Wi-Fi, so I'm just gonna spitball here. But Bill Hodges is a retired police officer, and just before he retired, there was an incident at a job fair where a Mercedes plowed through a crowd of job seekers, and this is just after the 2008 financial crisis. So you can imagine how many people were in this crowd. Many were killed, many were injured, and they determined that this was not an accident. It was indeed a murder, most likely premeditated, well thought out murder. And this case lands in the lap of soon to retire Bill Hodges. And of course, they weren't able to solve the case before Bill retired. And it haunts him every single day. I think we enter the meat of the story 2 years later after he's retired. He's drinking himself to death. All he does is sit in his recliner, watch TV, drink beer, and gain weight is essentially all he's doing. But one day he is sent a letter in the mail, and it is indeed from the Mercedes killer, as they saw fit to name him. If anything, this reinvigorates Bill to the extent where, you know, he gets up off of his recliner, he cleans himself up, dusts himself off, and he starts going and asking questions. He's meeting with old colleagues from the police department. He is getting help from his friends and neighbors however he can. Meanwhile, while all this is happening, we have a dual narrative that, of course, revolves around the killer himself. And you're seeing both sides of the story unfold like a well-written piece of police drama on TV or in film form. And I'm really liking it so far. I'm in the process of reading this one. I had to put it down for a little bit because there's a little bit of animal cruelty in this novel, and it just kind of turned me off. I'm not opposed to reading it, but that's where I decided to leave it for now. And we'll see how quickly I come back to it. But animal violence, depending on what it is, not really my thing. It irks me a bit. So that's my reading plans for the rest of the summer. We're in almost the 3rd week of August here, and I'm hoping that these won't take me much longer than a month to get through if I'm diligent. I'm planning on starting my spooky season reads midway through September. As I said, I'm a very slow reader, and if I wait until October, I won't get my spooky season read videos out until November. And November is reserved for Lord of the Rings, Middle-earth, Tolkien in general. So no way no way spooky season's taking that away from me. And these will also be my first 5 in my 100 book challenge that I'm starting for myself. It's not a book buying ban challenge. It's not anything like that. It's just for me. I'm simply trying to improve my reading habits, and I have many books at home that need my attention. So probably 12 months. If it takes longer than that, fine. If I hit 100 and exceed 100, great. If I don't hit it, that's fine too. It's a personal exercise with very little rules, very little limits, and I can DNF all I want, but if I DNF, they don't count. So I'll say if I make it halfway through and I DNF it, I'll consider that a read. So that is it for my first official booktube video. I've been trying to do this for a while. I've uploaded before and I took them down, and these things are hard for me. So hopefully you'll like, comment, and subscribe. You know, just egg me on, push me forward, and that would be a big help. So I hope you've enjoyed the first of many of videos like this. Again, like, comment, and subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated and definitely push me to do more of these. I'm gonna walk around the park a little bit more and give you guys more of the view. So, stick around if you want. If not, then I hope to see you on the next one. Done. Bye-bye. By the way, all of these trees up and down both sides are sakura, cherry blossoms. Now the plant savvy among you may already know, but these here are called Fuji, or wisteria in English. The dangly purple ones. Build these trellises so they can grow and vine over and stuff crawling on me, but I'll be back.